And we have our countdown. Welcome to Tombstone Tuesdays, everybody. This is a show about historic cemeteries and the people who love exploring them. Now, I am your host, Tui Snider, and in case you don't know who I am, I write talks. I write talks. I write books. I give talks, and I do a lot of research. Now, today here in Texas happens to be Texas Independence Day, and I'm just curious if anybody who's here right now, if you saw the video that I did a streaming video last night about the graves of the Alamo cats. Yes, it's true. We have graves of it's an interesting tale. So if you saw that, let me know. Also, can you all hear me okay? I'm kind of experimenting with different things with my microphones, and I see I've got a couple people in there now. Hopefully you guys can hear me. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with my guest. I happen to see that he has popped out of the studio. Now hopefully he will pop back into the studio here shortly. I might even have to text him and let him know to go ahead. But we'll see. I'm just gonna, hopefully he will be able to sort those things out. So back to this, if you didn't see my video about the Alamo cats, oh, let's see. So Sandra Pink says yes, so I think that means she can hear me. And McIntyre's can hear me. Okay, good. I wanted to double check. It's, as you know, every show it's been a little bit of a challenge to be heard. Yeah, so where was I? I have a question for you guys. It's just something I'm kind of mulling around. I'm calling my channel Tombstone Tuesdays right now, but I'm really wondering if maybe I should change the name because I do enjoy doing videos about offbeat travel and forgotten history and, even some haunted lore sometimes too. And then, of course, this crazy stuff that happens around my house because I'm married to a mad scientist. So I don't know. I named it Tombstone Tuesdays because I thought I was going to focus mostly on tombstone stuff. But oh, this is great. I see that our guest, well, once I see him, I think he might be sorting things out. But audio's okay. Oh, great. Hey, Tony, thanks for coming again. I really appreciate it. So I don't know, guys, if I'm mulling it over, if I might be changing the name. I thought I would call it Tombstone Tuesdays, my name being Tui. It's kind of easy to remember. I like the alliteration. We'll see. Hey, Kenneth, I'm wearing one of the afternoon tea league pins today. Kenneth, it gave me a membership in the Afternoon Tea League. He lives up in Colorado, and if you guys watched my video, I think it was last week, I shared all the cute stuff he sent. And one of them, pins that he sent me is for Annie Jones, who is a member of their tea league, who passed away in I think 1896. But since it's Women's History Month, I thought, well, I will wear this one this week. It's just kind of fun. I enjoy it. So yeah. So howdy back at you. Hi, Ken. So I've been thinking though, I did that video last night about the Alamo Cat Graves, and I shared some forgotten history in it. And I would like to do more of those videos, like bathrooms around the world. Whoa, Wayside Wade isn't here yet, but he had mentioned bathrooms. We were talking about that a little, and I've seen some really interesting ones. I have some crazy photos that could be fun. Cats of the world. I've been to a church where, oh, just a second. I have my guest calling. I think he's having troubles logging in. You guys, just a second. Hey, Harry, I saw you pop into the studio for a second, but I saw you pop into the studio for a second, but then you popped back out. Sure. Uh-huh. I can't. Well, you know what? See, the show has started, and so I'm doing the introduction right now. And so you're. Oh, okay. Oh no. I wonder if. And so, well, no, I don't see anything. I see your name, Harry Hall. Well, oh, a frozen image of me. Oh, darn. I wonder if. Yes, that's what I've got up. Alamo Cat Graves. I'm talking about that right now. Oh, now I see you. You're coming in. You're in the green room. So I'll be bringing you on as soon as I'm done. If you just hang tight there, I will bring you on in about 5 minutes. Okay. Ciao, ciao. Well, we're having some. Hi, guys. Audio dropped. Can you hear me now, guys? Sorry, I had to disappear a little bit there. Our guest is having a little trouble. I've had such a good time with StreamYard, but today we're having some issues. So, what are you going to do? Hey, Debbie. She's going to be showing up soon. Hi there. Hi. Thanks for coming again. And Tony, is my audio back, you guys? Hopefully my audio's back. Sandra, woohoo! Hi, guys. Okay, I got a thumbs up from McIntyre, so my audio must be back. All right, guys, so we'll be bringing Harry on in just a few. As usual, whenever I do a video, I always have a sponsor, and today's sponsor happens to be, oh, I'll get this out of here. We don't have to have it there. Is syrup of figs. Good for the kidney, livers, and bowels. I think this was from a newspaper where I was doing some research in 1899, and I just liked the look on her face. I thought that was kind of interesting. Of course, the real supporters are my Patreon supporters. So that would be Angel, Scott, Ghost Cat, Ian, Jessica, Ann, Envy, J, Ken, Patty, Sarah, Julie, Margaret, Hugh, Mikhail, Naomi, Tim, Pete, Sarah, Rachel, and of course, the other Tui. So no relation to me, just has a cool name, I think. As for our photos of the week, they come from Robert Bender, and they were in response to, I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago when we had Icy Sedgwick on, our Patreon supporter that day was Elgin Watches. And I just thought that was so cool because it was Father Time, and you can always tell Father Time from the Grim Reaper because he's much better fed. He usually has a beard. Both of them carry scythes. So Robert lives in Chicago, and he sent me these cool photos. I'll show you. So there you are. You can see, I'll give you a closer up one. So take a look at that. There is the Elgin watch guy. And Robert says, this is to go with your Tuesday sponsor. This is the Father Time clock presented by Elgin Clock in 1925 to go on the Jewelers Building in Chicago, hung outside the American National Life Insurance offices as a reminder. I think that is so cool and really neat. And you know what? I just really wanting to go to Chicago now. I have been meeting a lot of people through this YouTube channel and online who are fellow Taphophiles, and they just so happen to be in Chicago. I think that is so interesting. Hey, hi, Mark. Thanks for coming. Howdy, howdy. All right. Well, it looks like my guest has disappeared again. I hope he can get his system to work. I'm not sure why we're having such an issue. I've not had issues with StreamYard before. But the next thing I usually bring up is our book of the week. And our book of the week is The Pedestriennes. And let me show it to you here. This book is The Pedestriennes, and it's by Harry Hall, who is having troubles getting on this show. So I don't know what we're going to do, if we're going to have to reschedule or what. I'm going to try and make it work. If I can't get it to work, might have to work out the technical issues and do a redo, kind of like I had to do last week. But we shall see. Keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope that Harry's internet perks up and his machine lets him do his thing. But this is the book, the topic for today. It's a little different this week's Tombstone Tuesdays, because since it was Women's Month, March, I thought I would do something kind of about women. And Harry does a lot of research. He's also done a lot of genealogical work, and I know a lot of people who watch this show are into genealogy and know a lot more about that than I do. So, and I do a lot of research, so I really admire all the hard work he did. But this book is called The Pedestriennes, America's Forgotten Superstars, and they actually were the first famous athletes known in America. And what they did, their sport was walking. Yes, these ladies would walk, and you can check them out a little bit. And they were really, he writes about their exploits both on and off the court or whatever, the rink, the walking rink. And it was quite interesting. So let's see. I don't see him in my green room yet. So what else can I tell you about? Well, darn, I might have to call him again and see what's going on. Because this is the part of the show where I was just about to introduce Harry Hall. Wow. Well, I should tell you guys that, like I mentioned, that it is Women's History Month. So I will be doing on Sunday, I'm planning to do a video about the tragic history behind the International Women's Day. So I will be doing that. And if you guys don't mind, I may have to just call Harry and just see if he wants to do it or have a redo. I know this has got to be frustrating, and it's just crazy. I've not had any troubles with stream. Oh, here he's coming. Here's coming. All right. Well, all right. Let me introduce Harry then. Keep our fingers crossed, and let's hope he makes it in. So, during his 25-year writing career, it might be more now, I think this bio might be old, Harry Hall has written for the Dallas Morning News, he's been an award-winning radio talk show host, and he has taught public speaking. And I need to interject that I took a class that Harry taught about public speaking. This was back in 2013, and at the time, the idea of ever standing in front of an audience to me seemed really scary, and I just couldn't imagine myself doing it. It was at the DFW Writing Conference, and I took the class that Harry taught, and then I bought his book afterwards. Oh, crud, I think I left his book. I can see it. It's on the kitchen table. I was going to show that to you, too. He has a book called Help, Everyone is Staring at Me, and it really helps writers, readers, anybody overcome the fear of public speaking. I can really vouch for his book because, like I said, I took his class in 2013 at the DFW Writers Conference, and class on public speaking, and I thought, oh man, I don't think I could ever do that. And then shortly after my first book came out, which was Unexpected Texas, a librarian invited me to give a talk, and oh my gosh, I was terrified. First thing I did was I read Harry's book. I called him, and he mentored me and kind of held my hand and got me into it. And now, all these years later, it turns out I actually really love giving talks. I had no idea. So I really have him to thank for that. But now, Harry's background as a distance runner, I don't know if Harry's coming back. He popped out again. Boy, guys, I'm going to bring him on here soon. He has a background as a distance runner. He's actually completed 2 Boston marathons. So he's an athlete himself, and that's what inspired him, in part, to write The Pedestriennes. And this book was honored at it's an award-winning book. It's was honored at the Mayborn Literary Nonfiction Conference. Writer's Digest gave it a shout-out. It's had accolades. This is a great book. And his book tells the story of these female endurance walkers whose on and off the track exploits captivated the nation in the late 1800s. So, it's also won an Independent Publishers Award. I forgot that one. Anyway, I see Harry back in there, and I'm getting all distracted. Without any further ado, I am going to bring our special guest on today. Oh no, he just disappeared. My goodness. Well, I see Sandra asking, will that be the 8th of March? Actually, yeah, the 8th of March is International Women's Day, and I will actually be giving my little presentation on the 7th of March, just in case. I'm giving it the day before. So you'll know when International Women's Day arrives. You'll be like, hey, I know all about this, and you can be in the know and tell people. So I haven't decided what time. I keep switching up the times that I do stuff. And like I was saying earlier, I see we have we have more people in here now. So as I was mentioning earlier, I'm going to keep the show named Tombstone Tuesdays, but I may change the name of my YouTube channel because I do more than just tombstones. I mean, that's a real passion of mine, obviously. But I want to share some of the quirky travel stuff and that I do, also forgotten history. And I love doing videos about that. Oh, here he is. Okay, soon I keep seeing poor Harry. He keeps popping in and out. The second I see him come back in, I'm just going to bring him in. So I'm going to babble. If anyone has any thoughts about me changing my channel name, it probably doesn't really matter, does it? I guess I should just change it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay, woohoo! I'm going to add Harry to the stream. It says he's in there. Hey, Harry! Oh, he's frozen, but he's there. We're having a heck of a time. I think we're lagged. Hey, everybody. Hey, Harry. Oh my gosh. Let me take this off here. Lippy the 8th of March. Harry, I see you, but you're frozen, unfortunately. I wonder if we could have you on without your camera going. Let me see. Darn it, he disappeared again. I vote. Okay, here we go. I vote for changing the title. Okay, I'm going to change the title. Whew, oh boy, okay, I'll have to think of something, but I'll just keep the title of this show, Tombstone Tuesdays, but I do plan to do another show. It might be Thursday nights, because I'm already doing stuff on Thursday, and I mean, Larry, my husband, likes to see me sometimes too, so I don't want to be doing something every single night, but since I'm already kind of busy on Thursday nights, that might be a good one to do another show where it's more the quirky travel stuff. Like I could do the bathrooms around the world and all the crazy, like I've been to so many fake Stonehenge replicas. So yeah, and Cryptor. Well, hey there. Thanks for coming. Our guest, unfortunately, keeps popping off the green room, sadly. So there is a Tuesdays. That's a thought, except I do plan to do stuff on other days of the week. But I love the alliteration. I'm kind of a sucker for that. So, but maybe I'll just have to, I don't know, think about it. I'll come up with something. I'm going to keep the name of this show, Tombstone Tuesdays, but and focus on tombstone-y stuff. But I'll have another one for like the forgotten history and. And our guest, gosh darn it, he's having a heck of a time. I don't know. I might give him like a few more minutes. Hopefully he might have had to do his travels. Yeah, I like that. That could be like the Thursday show. Maybe I'll do that. Tui Travels or Tui's Travels. You know, there's a cruise line, Tui Cruises, and they do Travelers Travel Agency. I got a great photo of myself in front of their cruise ship once. I was pretending that they owned it. I kind of thought they should give me a complimentary ride and then let me write about it. Because I got my start writing as a travel writer. So why not? Technical glitch. I know. Oh, I would like tea with Tui. Oh, yeah, that could be fun. We could yeah, because I mean, actually, I have some tea here. It's cold tea. I've got my skull mug. I really love this mug. The best dollar store thing I ever bought. I have about 8 of these. They're my favorite. And as you can see, they're like skulls. And you can kind of put your fingers there in the eyes. They feel really good in your hand. It's great. And of course, I'm drinking Roobos black cherry today. Oh, hey, Harry's coming back in. I'm sitting here talking about tea. Your channel and Twitter chats. Well, that is my big idea. You know, I mean, I can't provide a lot of things in life, but hopefully I can provide some fun. And that really is a big goal of mine in life. Okay, I see Harry, and you know what? I'm gonna bring him in. If I can. Oh, he's in there twice. Hey there, Harry. Oh, let's try this one. Harry, I see 2 of you.
How are you?
Awesome! Ha ha! Everybody, we got him.
Well, this is in the tank. My wife's right back here, so Thank her.
Hi there. Hey.
Remember to the rescue.
Behind every great man, there's a woman. This is Women's History Month. Way to go. Ha.
Close the door, please. Thank you.
Well, you know what? This was actually kind of fun. We've been mixing and mingling. Oh, here's someone who goes, remember when they told us all technology would make everything easier?
When it works, it's great.
Yeah, when it works, it is great. Oh my goodness, you guys. Seeing the spouse is way overrated. Oh, just kidding. Well, everyone had their pants on.
This has been fun. Yeah, I've missed so much.
I know. I was giving you a big shout out. I was telling him how you really launched my speaking career because I actually 7 years ago I couldn't quite. I was too chicken. I thought, oh, it'd be neat to be a speaker, but how could I ever do that? And I was talking about your book and blah blah blah. So anyway, and let's bring in some of our. All right.
Yeah.
So, and we're voting on a new name for one of my shows. I like Tea with 2E. I do too. Hey, okay, I like that too. Tea with 2E and 2E for tea. Do, 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 do. All right. So,
Okay.
that was awesome. Okay, well, I just gave you your big introduction, and then we started talking about other stuff. It's a really nice crew here, and at certain points I'll keep an eye. People might ask questions now, and if not, I will be looking at the end. 2E's travel time. That's another one too.
Patience. I appreciate everybody's patience on this. So, okay, let's get started. Let's get
going. Chop. Okay. Well, I introduced you. Let's see. Let me get my questions up.
Yep.
Yeah. I wanted to see it. We didn't get a chance to ask beforehand, but one question I had for you is that I know that a lot of viewers of my channel are interested in genealogy. They know a lot more about it than I do, and you had quite an experience discovering a lost relative. Do you feel like getting into that? Because I love this story. I love this.
Yeah. 2.5 years ago, at the behest of his mother, my nephew, actually he's my half nephew, put his name out there on Ancestry, put his DNA out in Ancestry, and we got the Halls back, and we got the Bowmans back, and we got the people we expected. And there was this one name that just stood out. It was LaDonna Clark in Arkansas. And we're going, who the heck is that? So my sister-in-law, Debbie, just kept going back and forth. Well, it turns out that LaDonna Clark was adopted, and LaDonna Clark was born in Methodist Hospital in Oak Cliff, November 22nd, 1966. And she was going to school just a few blocks from where my brother and I were attending elementary school in Oak Cliff. And make a long story short, LaDonna Clark is my half sister. And there's a lot of physical similarities. The one that really got me, well, there were two that really got me. One of them was the Halls have this long history of having really bizarre looking feet. They're just flat feet. They're duck feet. That's what they are. And she asked me if anybody in the family had these really weird duck feet, because she had these weird duck feet, and so did 3 of her daughters. And I said, well, nobody except for me and Zane and Nick and Mitch and Monty and Uncle Ted, Dad, Grandpa. Outside of that, nobody.
Wow.
The other thing is, both of my brothers are CPAs, and she's an accountant.
Wow. Accounting in your genes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to me. I mean, it's not track times or batting averages. Numbers really just don't mean a whole lot to me.
That is funny.
Happened. She went over to a friend's house and started telling her about her new big brother. And she says, "Oh, my older brother, he wrote this book about these women walkers, and it's really interesting." And her friend goes to the back to another room, comes back with a copy of Pedestriennes, and says, "Is this your brother?" And she says, "Holy cow!" I had spoken at the Arkansas Marathon Expo, and she had come by my booth and purchased a book.
Oh, wow. That is so neat. Wow.
Every author loves this, So
yeah.
Totally unexpected. LaDonna's just wonderful. We talk every once in a while. She's been over here. We've met, and it's been great. A lot of times these things don't work out. I've got a lot of friends who said that they try to track down there. Yeah, they try and track down their adoptive families or their biological families, and it just doesn't work. One of my friends, his brother-in-law was adopted, and he tracked down his family, and he really regretted it.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess it could go both ways. Well, you lucked out.
LaDonna says, she says, "I just can't believe how accepting you've all been of me." I said, "Well, it just makes it easier. We asked you to borrow money."
That's a good line.
So yeah,
That's a-
yeah, that's
wow.
it's been great. She's marvelous.
Well, that is neat. I like that.
Yeah,
Well, okay. Now I want to know how you first heard about these the pedestrians. How it's such an obscure thing. How did you hear about that?
yeah. I've got a background as a distance runner. I'm sure you've explained all of
I
that.
told them, yeah, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I was going to do a book on the history of women distance runners, American women distance runners. And I worked
Oh.
on that for like 6 months. And then
Mm.
one day I just sat back at this desk and had all these papers and they had all these notes and they had all these discs and everything. And I said, you know what? I'm missing something. Women did something before Roberta Gibb hid in the bushes before the 1966 Boston
So
Marathon.
you had a hunch. You had one of those researchers' hunches.
Oh, absolutely.
I love those. Yeah.
I had no idea. I found a book called Runners and Walkers, a 19th Century Sports Chronicle, written by a man named John Cumming. And I drove over to SMU, sat in the basement of the Fondren Library, and just pulled out this book and just started thumbing through the pages. And I'm a good enough student of endurance running and endurance events. You know, they're
Yeah.
brown, and I recognized the men. And I got to page 102, and it said in 1879, which was the height of pedestrianism, women were walking for fame and fortune as well. It said in New York, in Brooklyn's Mozart Garden, Ada Anderson walked 2,700 quarter miles in 2,700 quarter hours. So what she did, she walked a quarter mile every
See if I have a picture of
15 minutes
her.
for a month. Yeah, you probably do.
I have all 9 on your front
And
page.
so, and I said, see, when did she rest? And so I found out she didn't.
Is this one?
During this entire month, I don't see it. I don't see
Oh,
it.
just like,
Yeah, that's Ada Anderson.
oh, is
Yeah.
that the wrong Ada?
No, that's fine.
Oh.
That's exactly who it is. Yeah, that's Ada Anderson. And it said she had a lifetime goal of making a name. She started out as an actress, and she spent a lot of time as an actress, and it was very
Oh,
frustrating for her. She was not overly attractive. She was not overly energetic, but there were aspects of her life, her personality, that she was just relegated to the dance squads and playing trees and things like that. So she discovered a guy named William Gale, and William Gale was an endurance walker, and William Gale earned all these headlines and all these accolades, made all this money, and she said, I think I can do that. So he started coaching her, and she was over in England, and she put on a lot of events over in England, and he said, you're doing great over here, but the real money is in America. So she came to America in October of 1878, and 2.5 months later, she was one of the wealthiest and most famous women in the world.
for walking. Oh my gosh.
Walking
That's incredible.
2,700 quarter miles. Now, in 2000.
So when does she sleep? I don't get how this works.
Right. She only had 10 minutes rest between each time. During the entire month, she never rested more than 10 minutes at a time.
Man, that's crazy. That would be hard on you.
Yeah. I mean, that's putting it mildly.
Yeah,
And
you'd be
at the
hallucinating
beginning-
maybe at the end.
At the beginning, not very many people paid it much attention because they didn't think she could do it. But then quarter mile number 771 out of 2,700, Tom Thumb showed up. General Tom Thumb. This is P.T.
Oh, Tom Thumb. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big international star. In fact, all the tickets in P.T. Barnum's 38-year history of promoting events, 1/4 of all of his tickets went to see General Tom Thumb.
Wow.
And when he showed up and walked a lap with her, this created just shockwaves throughout New York and Brooklyn. And after that, guys, they had to reconfigure the seating so that it would hold from set of 800 to 1,000. And when she finished, the Brooklyn Eagle reported that she was that people couldn't raise their arms above their heads. There were hundreds of people lined up outside trying to get in. Police had to come. And remember now, this track that she walked on was only about as wide as home plate. So if you picture home plate, it was a little bit wider than that.
That's narrow.
Only measured 7 laps to the quarter mile. So, people were just all over the place. And when she finished, not only did it make international headlines, but at a time when the average annual household income was $500, she came away with more than $8,000.
So she got what she wanted as far as becoming a superstar.
Absolutely. That was exactly the whole point, and that was her goal. That was her life's goal, she said over and over again, I wanted to make a name. And that's how she did it. Acting didn't work out for her, but she took that chance. And she was 36. 36
Wow.
back then was like 60 today.
Yeah, it's not hardly a spring chicken. Hey, I want to interject, guys. I see some comments you have about my question, and I will get to those later in the show. Right now, I'm just happy we got Harry in here, but I'm loving everybody's input on things to call the show. So I'll get into that later in the show. But yeah, so that is something else. Now, I noticed they're wearing kind of their clothes look a little bit frilly. Is this actually what she would wear when she
that's
was
a walking outfit? Every picture that you've got.
Oh, okay. I got all the ones on the front.
All those pictures. They're all in their walking outfits. Now this one's a little bit different, but you've got some glamour shots in there, and professionally made glamour shots in studios. And so whenever you see them wearing in there, that's pretty much what they wore, and they became fashion statements. Bertha von Hillern in particular.
Oh, I've got a picture of her.
I've got an ad from that's Von Berg.
Oops. Oh, I think maybe Bertha's
very different people.
Oops. Bertha was the first one. She was the first one. Yeah. Okay.
She was America's first pedestrienne. She was discovered in Peoria, Illinois, by Daniel O'Leary. Daniel O'Leary was to Chicago what Michael Jordan was to Chicago in the 1980s, but Daniel O'Leary was bigger. It is really hard to fathom what a huge name Daniel O'Leary was.
Wow, it is.
He came from Ireland with nothing, and he was 20 years old, and he sold Bibles door to door. And then he read about Edward Payson Weston, who was the father of modern pedestrianism. And he was making a lot of money and generating a lot of headlines with these long endurance walks, like from Boston to Washington, D.C., and from Detroit to Cleveland, things like that. And Daniel O'Leary just started walking and broke all of his records and then ended up beating him. And he made, in one walk, he made something like $10,000.
Jeez.
For 1 6-day walk. And he was huge. But Bertha von Hillern, I've got an ad from a paper, Worcester Gazette, in May of 1877. And the ad says, Von Hillern hats are in.
Oh, so she affected fashion. Well, Michael Jordan is the reason we have long
There's
pants.
a lot of newspaper stories
shorts.
where when the women left town, like the next week, all the women citizens were wearing clothes very similar to what the pedestrians had worn.
Wow.
So this became a really big deal, this whole fashion statement, especially in San Francisco.
Wow. Well, that is really amazing. So let's see. So I was curious, like when people came to watch, they buy a ticket to watch one of these ladies. Like, was your ticket, since they're going to be walking all month, how long could you watch before you had to go?
In some cases, what they did at the really big walks, they'd have like a backstage come and go pass. So if you paid like $5, you could come and stay as long as you wanted. And in Ada Anderson's case, you could go back into her privacy room and meet her and talk with her.
Now, how did they eat? I mean, if they're only having 10 minutes, did people just bring them food, their handlers? How did that work?
There's all kinds of stories about them eating while they're walking.
Oh, I guess that's possible.
They would eat sandwiches. And a lot of her favorites, Ada Anderson's favorite was a clam chowder, some type of clam chowder. And she'd be sitting there eating. She'd hear the bell ring. She'd say, okay, it's time to go. She'd interrupt an interview. So in one case, she's sitting there eating her clam chowder, the bell rings. She says, gotta go. And she put it down and go out and walk and come back and finish it. Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's something.
Yeah.
Well, hey there, Scott. Thanks for coming. Man, that is really interesting. That's just so intense. I've got to ask, do you have a favorite pedestrian? Like all these different ladies, is one of them kind of your favorite?
That's a really good question. Mae Marshall was there from the beginning to the end. And if it hadn't been for her great-granddaughters, and this is a really good one because you see that little emblem on her dress there?
Yeah.
That's a medal.
Oh.
And if you look at these glamour shots, this is not a glamour shot. This is what I got from her great-granddaughters.
I see, yeah.
Those, especially, I think it is Fanny Edwards. She's got 2 or 3 on her dress there that you can see. But these were medals.
Oh, yeah.
You see those 3 medals over there on the right. Those are actual medals that she won. But Mae Marshall's great granddaughters were just invaluable. I dedicated the book to them.
Oh, all right. I'll go back to May while you're talking about her.
Yeah, go back to Mae Marshall. I made 5 trips to the Library of Congress to research this.
Oh, wow.
On my second trip, I found an article that said, headlined, "Attempt to Burn Women's Home." And it was dated October 24th, 1910. And it was from Winchester, Virginia. And there had been an attempt to burn down the home of Bertha von Hillern. They poisoned her pets. And
no.
Yeah, it was a bad scene. And this was remarkable to me because at that time, that was the most recent reference I'd had for any of the pedestriennes by 25 years. I'd had something like 1885, but the next was 1910. And this was in Winchester, Virginia. Now, follow this. I made so many trips. My brother lives about 30 miles from D.C. It's like my brother lives here. D.C. is there. Winchester, Virginia is there. So he split the two. He was split right between the two. So when I read, okay, here's Bertha von Hillern, attempt to burn down her home in Winchester, Virginia. Next day, I go to Winchester, Virginia. About all I had at that point, I had this big poster of Mae Marshall that I didn't send to you, but it's in the book. And it's this big poster of Mae. Matter of fact, I got one right over there.
I bet you got all sorts of cool things. Yeah, sure. All right. Yeah. Oh, Wally's gone. Tuesday, Analyze and Tales. I'm like, oh, okay.
I had this, okay? And so right down here, it said admission 50 cents, children have
Here, I'll bring you up so you can show it.
There we go. So this was about all I had. It wasn't this nice and it wasn't framed or anything. But I took this and you can see 50 miles inside of 12 hours and there's her picture.
Yeah. Look at that hat.
And it says Mary Marshall, but it was actually Mae Marshall.
Yeah.
I took this and I took that article to Winchester newspaper. And they said, well, this is really interesting. We never heard this. Let's do some, let's write a story. So they wrote a story. And about a week after I got home, I got an email and it said, women walkers. And I thought somebody who read the story and, liked her, thought it was interesting or something. No. It was much better than that.
Okay.
Yeah. It turned out this was Charlotte Curtis. And Charlotte Curtis sent me the email and said, I don't know, enjoyed the article. Don't know anything about Bertha von Hillern. Do you have any information on Mae Marshall? She was my great-grandmother. And I said, this just doesn't I thought this was some kind of joke because this doesn't happen. She says, my sister and I have a scrapbook we would love to share with you.
Oh, man.
We tried to explain to people who our great-grandmother was and what she did, but we just get blank looks. So holy cow, I had to get my hands on that. So I got the scrapbook, and I had a 2-year gap where I had nothing on Mae Marshall. And after that, I had everything was filled in. I knew where she was almost every month. But
that is cool.
Yeah, but here's what happened to me, and this is what really gets me. Bertha von Hillern died in the Winchester, Virginia area, and she lived there for 40 years. She became a painter, and the reason they were burning down, the reason they were trying to get rid of her in the first place, they suspected she was gay. But the bigger deal, I think, was because she'd gotten into land speculation, and she was cleaning people's clocks on land deals. So I've got records of those. I've got records of some of those. So at any rate, she
made some enemies.
In the Winchester, Virginia area in 1939. 17 years after she dies, the grandson of her rival who lived in Detroit moved to the Winchester, Virginia area, and that's where her great-granddaughters were.
Oh.
And I was just amazed by this. So Charlotte, unfortunately, died before the book came out. But the day I got the first box back, I got an email from Jerry Curtis, and it said, how's the book coming along? And I just took the first copy out, put it in an envelope, addressed it to her, and just sent it to her 3 days later. She said, got the nicest surprise in the mail today. She says, I can't believe you dedicated the book to Charlotte and me.
That is so neat. That is very
That
special.
was an
And
easy
our
call.
viewers are admiring your research. Yes, you did tremendous research for this.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
this is an award-winning book for a reason, people. So yeah, great research indeed.
If you see all those books out there in the background, see all those notebooks there on the top shelf, that's all pedestrian info, all of that.
Wow.
And that's about 60% of it. I've got a whole lot more.
You got like your
Like,
own little library about it. That is so cool.
yes. Oh yes.
Yeah, we admire research around here. That is
You
awesome.
asked about the best about favorite pedestrian. Another one is
Yeah,
Exilda La Chapelle. And one of the
I love her name,
yeah,
amongst other things,
well,
and this hat, her look, very snazzy.
yeah, she was Bertha von Berg, not Bertha von Hillern, Bertha von Berg and Fanny Edwards did not like her at all.
Oh,
Well, you can look at her and tell. I mean, probably a little jealousy there in the looks department. But she
maybe.
was
Yeah, she's
also
very
a
pretty.
superior walker. She was also a superior walker.
Oh,
And what happened after the book came out, and this is just what you hope happens, and it never does, but it kind of does, is that people start doing their own research, and they started sending me information, and they found information on Exilda La Chapelle that I just didn't have.
was that her birth name? I like the name Exilda. It's kind of really
Exilda La Chapelle.
Exilda.
That was her actual name. And
They had cool names.
we thought originally that she was born in Marseille, France, but
Mhm.
found a birth certificate. Reader sent me a copy of her birth certificate, and she was actually
Whoa!
Montreal. She married a guy in Chicago. There was a lot of walking in Chicago. She married a guy in Chicago, and it turns out he had a construction company. He was from Texas.
Oh,
And they ended up operating a hotel in Corpus Christi for several years. And they celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary in 1936.
neat.
She died 8 months later. She was like
Aw.
85 years old or something like that when she passed away. And I ran into one of her relatives too. Well, it was the wife of her great grandson. And the sad thing is that he passed away about 20 years ago from cancer. And she found me somehow, and we started talking. And I said, look, she won a lot of really nice, she got a gold handled whip. She got diamond rings and all these really nice gifts. And she says, I don't think the family has any of that. She says,
Oh,
if
man.
would have known, because she said nobody in the family really knows who this is except for my husband. And she's
Yeah,
trying to explain people that, and she said if he would have had the diamond ring or any of these really nice prizes, these championship belts, which were just amazing. I mean, there was one that was commissioned by Tiffany's, and one that Bertha von Berg won when she won the world championship in 1879 at Madison Square Garden. It was commissioned by Tiffany's and was valued at $1,500. And we don't know what happened to any of this. All I've got, I do have this. I have
that's
this
a bummer when families lose track of their history. This is like incredible history.
And the thing is that there's some real family problems here. That's why I haven't mentioned any names. But she says, and I said, she says that she thought one of her brothers-in-law had like maybe a picture or two of Exilda La Chapelle walking. And I said, I would love to, talk to him and see that. She says,
Yeah.
don't get involved. She said, there's some, I mean, it has nothing to do with me, obviously, but I mean,
No, but
I found some great granddaughters, and they wanted nothing to do with anything. So I won't get into that anymore. But
one of our viewers is saying there's a lot of streets named La Chapelle here in Quebec.
Oh, is that right?
She's there, and she's in Quebec, and here's another Canadian who's saying that's true. So we got a couple Canadians in the house representing. So yeah,
Very good. I don't know. It seems to be a fairly common name because the guy who sent me that is doing. His name is Aiden La Chapelle, Aiden.
Oh.
And he is researching. Apparently, there's 5 separate arms of the or 5 separate trees of the La Chapelle family. And he was the one who had the birth certificate, and he was the one who gave us all kinds of information about her and just about how things kind of were back then for French Canadians. So
yeah,
that's really interesting. I only know of 2 awards that have survived, and one of them, Jerry Curtis has one. And she's got one that I actually wrote about in the book, which is really,
Oh,
I told her, so you need to get this thing kind of jazzed up a little bit because it looks really bad.
and by the way, folks, he's wearing a Pedestriennes shirt. Check that out. That is pretty.
I've never seen
That is nice swag indeed.
Yeah,
I
it
like
is.
that. I haven't thought of doing that.
And this is Clara Hubbard. This is a medal I got from somebody who
Oh,
did some research.
yeah.
Also did a lot
Wow.
of research on the pedestrians.
Oh man.
But this,
Yes,
you know,
someone you're being commended. People are saying, "Well done, Harry." People are really they.
well, you know, the thing is that this was quite an ordeal, and I remember years ago when one of my friends started a TV show and it did really well.
Mhm.
And I was asking his wife, I said, I know you got all kinds of offers and all kinds of ideas. How did you pick that one? How do you pick these things? And now I understand because, you know, I
It
never
picks
had
you.
about this. That's exactly right. When here's what I did when I
Happens to me.
saw that article in Cummings' book, and I found the paper in on the internet, and it was just one paper by Don Childs. It was a research paper, and it was very well researched, very poorly written, but the research, and in the back there was like 400 references to the pedestrian.
Oh, ooh,
And
pay
so
dirt.
I sat on this for about 4 days, and I said, I can't stop thinking about this.
I bet that wakes you up. Those ideas. Yeah, I know how it is. The ideas are just like, you're gonna do this.
I went to my wife. I sat down. I said, I can't stop thinking about this. I don't know what this was. I don't really have an idea about how big this was or anything. I said, but I need to go to the Library of Congress. And of course, I could stay at my brother's, and he supplied me with meals and everything. So it was a real, and I cashed in some frequent flyer miles. So it was a relatively cheap trip. And I was there for I think I was there for 5 days, and I came back with a stack.
Oh, wow.
My sister-in-law says, well, are you reading these? I said, I don't have any idea what's on here.
I've never been to the Library of Congress. How does that go? Do you have to tell them you're coming? I mean, you know, how does that work?
No, there's a card. You have to fill out a form, and you have to get a card that picture ID, but they have them all there, and it costs a couple of bucks or something.
That'd be fun.
And then you go in, and you just have access to just so much material you just can't go. But here's the kicker. I mean, the copies, the Library of Congress. Now, remember, this goes back this is like 10, 12 years ago. The copies of the Library of Congress are a quarter.
Oh.
I would charge my card up $40. I come back 4 or 5 hours later, I'm empty. You know, so
wow.
Go through because you're only getting 4 copies for $1.
Yeah.
And you go through that very quickly.
Oh, that would be just like, oh man, it's like Vegas, except you're never gonna get a payout. You're at a 25-cent slot machine. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, that is something neat. Now I am curious because.
And by the way,
go ahead.
Chappelle is buried in San Antonio.
Oh wow. Well, okay.
Chappelle is buried in San Antonio.
We have a few people who watch the show who live down there. I don't know if they're watching right now, but if they live down there, they could go visit her grave. Next time I go to San Antonio, I'll definitely have to look for it. What was I thinking? Oh, I wanted to ask because I know there were some scandals that these women were involved in. I wonder if you could give us a little gossip. Give us a little historic gossip. I love it.
Oh, yeah. That's yes. There was an extortion attempt. There was a man named E.G. Cotton, and E.G. Cotton was out of New York. And after the 1879 walk by Ada Anderson, this had positive and negative effects. During the month of February and March, every empty building in New York became a place for women to walk because there were all these immigrant women and said, look how much money she made. I can do that. And they worked.
I can walk. Yeah.
Exactly, you know, and it was just a desperation move, and they were literally collapsing on the track. They were dragging them off, and the next person was coming in.
Oh my gosh!
So, there was a bill before New York City to ban women's professional walking. Now I don't know if it passed or not, but they were out of New York. They were just done because there was too many venues. And there was no controlling manager or anything like that. So here came E.G. Cotton, who had been in the theatrical business, and he enlisted the help. He enlisted, took Exilda LaChapelle, Fanny Edwards, and Bertha von Berg, and said, let's go to San Francisco. Apparently he had some business connections there. and they were really clamoring for women's endurance walking in San Francisco. So he
Oh,
got to San Francisco, and when he got off the boat, he said, I've been in the theatrical business for a long time, and I've seen a lot of prima donnas, but I've never seen anything like this. And there was this fighting all the time. So one of the things that happened, and this was the really bad one, was they signed an agreement, and they got appearance fees. They all agreed to an appearance fee of $600, I think it was.
wow.
And then they were going to have this big match with all three of them. And at the last minute, Bertha von Berg said, I'm the world champion, which she was. And she said, I deserve $2,000.
Oh,
And he said, you're not getting $2,000. And they kept going back and forth. They couldn't come to an agreement. And she didn't think that they'd start that race without her. And they had these walkers. And it wasn't just the two of them. There were some other
she was pushing her luck.
And the crowd was shouting, Von Berg, Von Berg, Von Berg. And they started the race without her. And 3 days later, her henchman went in and pistol whipped E.G. Cotton. And put him in the hospital.
Ooh.
And it just went downhill for that poor guy. And he got back to Patrick's and it didn't work out. And then on March 6th, 1880, he put a bullet to his head.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
He was 32 years old. And he's like the real tragic figure, in all this.
Oh.
And that was just one of many. Another really, really good one was Exilda La Chapelle and her husband. Her husband was a real philanderer.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God. He was running around on her. She walked out of the international championship at Madison Square Garden because he was in the stands hitting on women while she was trying to win the international.
Way to rub it in. Yeah, that would be. Man.
And she ended up losing, which is how Von Berg won, because Exilda La Chapelle would have beaten her.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, they just didn't get along at all. So eventually, Exilda La Chapelle divorced the guy.
Mm-hmm.
They were running a bar, and she was running the bar, and he was running around on her. And then with what the papers called, I've forgotten her name now. And at any rate, it said that she had lived the life of a chorus girl. Oh, I love that. She'd lived the life of a chorus girl. She was trying to straighten herself out. Well, again, she was running the bar, and he was running around on her. And he came in drunk one night with a pistol, and she wrestled it from him and shot him twice in the chest and killed him.
Oh, boy.
Well, the cops came out to investigate. He killed him with his own pistol. Cops came out to investigate, and they couldn't find any of the neighbors that would take his side because he beat her up all the time. He was verbally abusive. Yeah. And he would go over.
I'm getting that song from Chicago. He had it coming. He had it coming.
Yeah, well, it's exactly right. And so
Harry, the musical. There should be a musical about the pedestrians. I could see it. It would be great. Definitely a movie.
You laugh, but we've actually got a screenplay.
I don't laugh. I think it would be cool.
No, because I'm going to go into something else, but
that's okay. But I think it should. That's all right. No, but I think it should. It should. I think this. I would watch. This is a movie I would watch.
I was talking about making a musical out of it.
Yeah.
I hadn't actually thought about it from that standpoint, but we do have a screenplay. We're working on upgrading that a bit. So yeah, that's all part of the
I think it should be a whole TV series, kind of like Downton Abbey. I could see a whole series because there's all these ladies and all these side plots you could get into.
Because a friend of mine is working on a Netflix deal, and he said he's told them about pedestrians, and he thinks this would be a good subject. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. Show the John Dermody. Do you want to take questions, or we have time for
we do. I had a picture. Which one?
Golden.
Oh yeah. I see. This one is this the one we're talking about? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You sent me a couple of pictures right before the show, so I don't know what these are all about.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I want to get this one and the one and the other two as well.
Yeah, okay.
John Dermody in December of 1879, he was in a bar, and this is what really got me onto this.
Oh, okay.
He was in a bar drinking. He was a 45-year-old unemployed lemon peddler. He had a lot going for him, right? And he and his buddies got to talking about endurance walking. And endurance walking was the #1 spectator sport in America back then. So them sitting around talking about...
Just a second. I want everyone to think about that. The number one spectator sport in the late 1800s was, hello everybody, if you're ever on a trivia show, it was walking.
Endurance walking. That's right.
Endurance walking. Okay, people, I want people to wrap their head around that.
But
It's neat.
there was no football, and baseball had just gotten started. So there wasn't a whole lot of organized sports, and there's a whole deal I go into about that. But at any rate, he's in this bar bragging about what a great
Get the book.
he could be if he could just get a backer. So his friends told him, there's one going down the street there. We can get you in that. We'll back you for it. So he was so plastered. They took him down to the local barber shop and shaved his beard. And they put a dress on him, got some mismatched shoes. And if you look at that picture closely, he's got a veil over his face.
I wondered what was going on in that. I was like,
all that on him. And as I said in the book, they staggered down to the arena. And when the police weren't looking, they took the coat off him and put him out there on the track and let him just, he's just stumbling around out there with all these women. And it goes on for about 45 seconds because the officer can't catch him because he's weaving and bobbing so much. And he was sentenced to time served, and the next morning was arraigned, still wearing the dress.
Wow.
And what got me about more than anything else was that this was the international 6-day endurance walking championship at Madison Square Garden.
Was it this thing, the Great 6-Day Race?
That's in San Francisco.
Oh, it's a different one. Oh,
yeah, just
I'll stay back. Okay.
And that's what got me, because I was reading about this, and about 15 minutes into it, I found this story, and I said, how to get this deal with John Darmani? This story is hysterical, and they held it at Madison Square Garden. My knowledge of history is good enough to know that even back in 1879, Madison Square Garden was a really big deal. And so that's what really got me realizing that I'd stumbled on something that was potentially big. Show that next slide.
And I love it because it really is forgotten history. Or really, I think it's really great. And forget, RuPaul's Drag Race. Well, hey, this predates it.
This doesn't show the headline, but this is the front page of the San Francisco
Chronicle. I can show it. Here we go. It was just kind of hard to see.
There you go. This is the front page of the San Francisco Chronicle in 1879. And this has, you can tell it's a big deal because they've got 4 exclamation points up there. So it's important. And
I like to see the struggle tonight.
I know. There's no hyperbole in this at all. All the ads that just, this is the most exciting event ever witnessed and all this.
Sunday.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And this was where Amy Howard set a record of 409 miles. And, it never really occurred to me, but that record actually wasn't broken until like 2 or 3 years ago.
What?
And yeah. And because she walked 409 miles in 6 days, and there were all kinds of 6-day records, it was better, but didn't have anything of anybody walking.
Oh.
So walking of the 409 miles, and for the life of me, I can't remember her name, and I feel bad because I get Facebook posts from her all the time, and she's 60 years old when she broke it.
Wow.
She's very, very inspirational.
Very cool.
At any rate, so you can see those totals up there, and you can see, is that Exilda LaChapelle second? Yeah, Amy Howard, Exilda LaChapelle, Sarah Tobias. Sarah Tobias was.
Score lead is at 1 a.m. Wow.
Yeah. Well, they went all the time. They would start at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'd start at 1 o'clock on Monday morning so they could go till Saturday night because they couldn't walk on Sundays. It was against the law.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because back then in certain quarters, certain areas, you could only walk on Sunday if it was to take care of crops or go to church or a medical emergency. You couldn't do any business or anything.
Man, I love those kind of tidbits. That's really interesting.
Yeah. Also, the next one's really interesting to me.
Okay, it's hard to see on here. I wasn't sure.
Hard to see, and is there an underlined? Isn't there an underlined segment on there?
I couldn't tell, and we didn't get a chance to go over it. Maybe, I don't know. What is?
This is the San Francisco City Directory in 1879 or 1880, and on that page somewhere. Is the name Maybelle Sherman. And Maybelle Sherman was a big walker in San Francisco. And it says Maybelle Sherman gives her address, occupation, pedestrienne.
Oh, okay.
I've got one of Amy Howard as well in the San Francisco City Directory. And when I was looking for this, at this librarian, and I'm looking for Amy Howard, and they had 3 Amy Howards. I said, "Oh, this is the one I want." She says, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Because it says pedestrienne." She says, "What's that?" And I said, "You're just going to have to read the book."
That's right. Oh my gosh. That is really cool. Wow. Well, it is getting to the top of the hour. I do want to ask you, or mention too, that this is not your only book. I do want to mention that, in fact, you and I have a book with the same publisher. I got mine. So I wrote, 100 Things to Do in Dallas Fort Worth Before You Die with Reedy Press. And I have not read this book. Now, Harry's newest book just came out, right? This used to be done. Oh, my September. Yeah, that was just yesterday.
Used to be Dallas. Yeah.
Well, now I do need a copy of that. I don't have one yet. Well, anyway. So tell us about this one real quick. And while you do that, and then tell people where they can find you online. And I'm just going to scroll. And if anyone has questions for Harry, remember, go ahead and ask them now.
This used to be Dallas, about 90 buildings in Dallas, 90 buildings and structures in Dallas, what they were, what they are, and why they matter. And we look for a lot of historical significance, look for good pictures, and look for good stories. I was also looking for stories that not very many people know. Some of them, you're going to have in Dallas, you're going to have Parkland Hospital, and you're going to have the sixth floor museum from where President Kennedy was assassinated. But one of the real jewels that I found was, in the late 1920s and early 1930s, the number 1 female athlete in America was Babe Didrikson Zaharias. Well, she was Babe Didrikson then. And I found her house, found where she lived. In fact, I made a presentation on Good Morning Texas, and the owner of that house was watching, and she showed up at my next talk.
Oh, you get so many great connections with your research. I just love it.
It was just amazing. She said, "You can imagine my surprise when I saw my house featured on your Good Morning Texas segment."
I bet.
The only way you can get Pedestriennes right now, because the publisher ran into some problems, and I think I'm all cleared up with them. I got my
good.
Anyway, so you can only get it off my webpage, and it's $20, and that includes shipping and handling and everything. So,
well worth it, everybody. And if you're not a history buff, then buy it for a history buff in your life or a sports buff. I'm not even into sports, but I just think that's why I think it has such wide-ranging appeal. Like if this were just about baseball or something, I'd be like, well, okay. But it's just got so many juicy details. You're such a great researcher. It makes it a lot of fun. I do have a question going back. I'm just curious why, I'm sure people watching too are wondering, so this was such a hot thing. These people were, the big hot shots, the LeBron James of their day, essentially. But why did it die out? What and when? Was it sudden or did it trickle out?
No, it faded out very quickly. And in San Francisco, part of it was the scandals. Where are we going to take this? The men didn't walk like this. The men didn't do like a mile walks and quarter miles. They didn't do that. The women did that because they had to attract attention. And at some point, this can only go so far. Where are we going with it? And there was one in the San Francisco Wasp. They actually ran a picture where they had a bunch of people hanging, had like 12 people hanging. And they said, well, if we're going to have these endurance walks, if they're so brutal on the women, why don't we just have hanging matches? And the last one who survives gets $1,000 and a championship belt. So
okay.
And plus there was the advent of bicycles, which were more exciting, and something like this you can only take so far. And so all these other organized sports showed up. There really was no organized sports until then. And so these other organized sports came up, and it just kind of fell into the background.
Someone's saying, great show, lots of history. I know Harry has got so much information. I don't know. Do you want to share one more story about any of these gals before we go?
A lot of people ask what happened to them. Mm-hmm. And thanks to some readers, I know what happened to Mae Marshall, obviously. She passed away in 1910, 1911. She's buried in Detroit. And then Exilda LaChapelle, as we mentioned, she's buried in San Antonio.
Yeah.
She had quite a history in Virginia, and she must be buried out there. But I have an obituary on her. I know what happened to those. The others, I have no idea. And of course, what happened to Ada Anderson. because about 20% of the book is about Ada Anderson, because that one walk was covered so well, so thoroughly, and it was so fascinating.
Yeah.
She just seemed to disappear. She showed up in Baltimore in 1880 as they were wiring the city for electricity, and they had her come out and do this walk. And then after that, we don't have any idea. I'm guessing that she went back to England with her husband, and maybe she went back to acting a little bit. I don't know, but she made so much money that she pretty much could write her own ticket.
Oh, wow.
And I don't have any idea what happened to the others, any of the others.
All right. Wow. Well, I just think it's such looking forward to the movie. And I'm telling everybody, I've got this down here. I've got the scrolling. Make sure you go and check out Harry's website. I also have a link in the show notes, so you'll want to check that out.
Yes, just at pedestriennes.com.
Mhm.
And like I say, it's a real deal because we're paying for all shipping and all taxes. So $20 gets you a copy of the book.
And we got a viewer, Gail England, says, I love it. I have my copy. So you've got a fan in the audience here.
Well, Gail and I know each other. Gail and I are the National Speakers Association together. I'm guessing it's the same Gail England. Sure it is.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's too many of them. Isn't that neat?
We've sat in on a lot of Zoom meetings together through NSA. Yeah.
Well, now you're a StreamYard expert too. Glad everything worked out. That all worked out fine.
Yeah, thank you, Susie, my wife.
Yes, thanks to the wife. All right, I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to let you know that next week our guest is going to be Janice Oberding, another author. And here's someone who says that would make an amazing Broadway play. I really think so too. I can really envision that, people. Kenneth is saying thank you, good stuff.
Yeah,
yes. So next week I have Janice Oberding coming. Also next week happens to be my birthday, so maybe I'll be wearing a birthday hat. Woohoo! And this Sunday I will be doing an International Women's Day stream sometime on Sunday. I've got to get that all ironed out because, I want to do it the day before International Women's Day so you guys can know the tragic history behind it, be in the know on the actual International Women's Day, and then tell people about it. All right. So once again, everybody, make sure you check out Harry Hall. Go by his website, get that book. And Harry, thank you so much. You're always such a great guest. I'd love to have you back on, just talk about more research stuff. And I think people enjoyed it too, getting lots of good feedback. So thank you, everybody. And I'm going to say goodbye now, and we will see you maybe Sunday if you come by that stream, and hopefully Tuesday next week as well when I have Janice Oberding here too. So thanks everybody, and ciao for now. Bye-bye.
Appreciate your patience. Thank you.